Hello, it's the 19th of September 2016. I've just come back with a bowl of things from the allotment. There's still a bit of harvesting going on. I picked the remainder of the sweet corn. Some of them are looking a little shriveled, so they aren't going to keep very much longer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 corn cobs. There's no way 2 old age pensioners are going to eat 9 corn cobs without losing their entire guts. We are finding that eating corn every day is giving us a great deal of regularity, probably more than we wanted. So we felt that we had enough of corn for the moment. So what I'm going to do with these is attempt to preserve them for later. Now, I looked on the internet for different ways of preserving corn because I kind of had a fantasy about peasants somewhere hot harvesting their corn, drying it out, and then grinding it to flour in the winter for their food, which is a kind of complicated process, and I'm not convinced I have the equipment to do that. Anyway, it turns out you can pickle it or freeze it, and freezing is an interesting idea. Obviously I can't do them whole. I'm going to have to take the kernels off, and I was a bit concerned about the usual method of freezing, where you blanch your vegetables in hot water and then you put them on a tray. You have to make them dry before you freeze them. If they're wet, they'll all stick together in a lump of ice, which is not helpful. And I only have a little freezer. But then I read that you can roast them first, and that roasted corn cobs, corn kernels, actually freeze very well. They dry well as well, but I shan't bother drying them. 5 hours in the oven sounds like too much like hard work, and then they'll probably end up so hard. How do you eat them? I've been drying beans, but I don't know what you do with dried sweet corn. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roast them all in the grill, and then cut the kernels off when they're cold and then freeze them. So that's the corn cobs. Still got some squashes. There's 3 more visible on the plant. There's a limit to what you can do with squashes as well, but I think we're going to have to eat them fresh. I don't know how you freeze them, and we don't eat pickles particularly. I brought a couple of little blue squashes. There are more, but I didn't have room in my bowl. They say leave them on the vine till the first frost. We may not have a frost till Christmas, but I think when they look blue like this, then they're probably ready to pick, and the vines are dying. And then I also got a few beans. These are drying beans, which I grew on pyramids, and the ones that are hanging down at the bottom of the pyramid, which unfortunately seems to be the majority of them, tend to get into the undergrowth and they get damp and they don't dry out properly. So I'm picking them as I see them, and I'm going to put them in a tray near the sun and sort of dry them like this in the pod until they're really crackly, and then I can get them out. These, you see, these are the black beans. I think they call them viper beans or tiger beans or something. The pods are still soft and purple. They haven't dried out at all, but I think if I put them in the sun, they'll dry out like that. And then I can take them out. So this is the conservatory where I'm drying the beans. Those are the pods that I picked today. These beans are almost ready to put in the bottle. Can't remember what they're called. And I've got a tray of these lovely cranberry coloured beans. And I'm also drying runner beans. In England, runner beans seem to be grown exclusively to use as green beans with the young pods, but at the end of the season you do get quite a lot of these big meaty sort of purpley beans, and I thought I would try drying them last year, and they were quite good to eat, plus they're huge, so you don't need so many of them. So I'm drying those again. Over here the white ones are climbing French beans, and we had loads of those fresh, but the remainder I'm drying as well. Partly for seed for next year, and partly because they went past it anyway, and I might as well dry them for stew or something. And the black ones, those are the ones that I just picked today. That's how they come out, of the purple pods. So here are my corn cobs ready to grill. The final harvest. This one, you can see it's already beginning to shrivel a little bit. The other ones are plump enough. These ones didn't develop all their kernels. This is an example of why it's important to plant your corn plants close together so the wind will fertilise them all, and if the wind doesn't fertilise them, you have to do it yourself. And some of them have been nibbled at the top. I don't know if this was birds. So I've grilled the corn cobs on all sides, and here I am cutting the kernels off. So there it is. I don't know how people commercially stop corn kernels from looking all chopped off, because half of these have been chopped through the middle rather than at the bottom, so it looks a bit messy. I'm sure they'll be edible though.